Hello, how you going, random stranger? I am so sorry for the huge gap between this update and the last video. Things are a little bit crazy at the moment and they will be for the next 2 weeks, but after that things should go back to normal. I do hope that you spent your Christmas and New Year holidays the way that you wanted, but it is now time to jump back into a whole world of pain, otherwise known as Houseki no Kuni, Land of the Lustrous Volume 2. Before we do, I just wanted to run through a couple of closing thoughts on Volume 1. There are timestamps down below if you want to skip this whole pre-reaction analysis, because I have a feeling that it's going to be a little longer than usual. I must have said this somewhere before, but I really am appreciating the way that the manga allows us to savor relationship developments a lot more, and also to draw more interesting comparisons between how each gem sees themselves and also each other. So, like in Daya's chapter, where Daya tells Slugfoss that they feel a bit guilty for suggesting to normal Foss to find their purpose by changing themselves, we sort of see Daya almost projecting their own struggles onto Foss, because as we know, Daya's Achilles heel doesn't really have anything to do with their physical structure. It's more to do with how inadequate they feel when next to Bort, and that leads them to compulsively want to change the core of who they are in order to meet that impossible standard. It also felt like the reason why Daya goes all out to help Foss, I mean, other than the fact that they are genuinely one of the kinder gems, is because saving Foss in a way would give them hope that they can save themselves. From the dialogue in Volume 1, it seems Daya strangely saw Slugfoss as a sort of twisted reflection of their own sad situation. Arguably, even the way that Daya asked Cinnabar, like half jokingly, whether Foss had confessed their love to Cinnabar was also, it felt, projecting a little bit. We know Daya's love for Bort is, at least on the surface, unrequited, and the way Cinnabar was so cold towards Foss, even while caring so much for them, had to have reminded Daya of the way that Bort is with them. Interestingly, in the anime, we didn't really get many interactions between Bort and Cinnabar, and I'm really hoping that in the manga we get that. Even so, the interactions that we got between Daya and Cinnabar in Volume 1 were really great as well. I loved the fact that Cinnabar very clearly thought that Daya, and really the other gems as well, were idiots for thinking that Foss was the slug. I liked that the volume really dug into how Cinnabar is in some ways the tortured genius that has been unhappily banished to the fringes of this particular society, as so often happens with the geniuses in our own world. The other gem that we get key character and relational insights into is Rutile, who is actually definitely in my top 3 gems. So from Volume 1, I kept getting this tired, jaded, weary sense from Rutile, particularly whenever they were around Foss. And thank you to Chariot, who in a comment explained it really well. So basically they wrote, imagine how much time and energy it takes Rutile to research the parts that will help Padpa wake up again, if even just for a few moments. The emotional toll it must take to see a normally strong Padpa be knocked down over and over again due to the way that the inclusions in their body react to foreign materials. And meanwhile, they're seeing Foss, like alive and well, with some really adaptable inclusions, but drifting aimlessly and even being a bit of a complainer about not having a role. So it was no wonder that it was Rutile who was the one who sort of seeded the idea of Foss helping Cinnabar, because it's like, if you're awake and alive, at least don't take that for granted, and live for something, god damn it, because not every gem is as lucky as you. And I thought that was such a good take on what might be going through Rutile's head. So yeah, thanks for that. One last observation from Volume 1 is really a kind of a crazy theory / prediction that draws on the dichotomies in the story to try and figure out the core reason for the conflict between the gems and the Lunarians. Actually, I think it's easier if I do a diagram in paint. It'll be for sure really badly drawn, but I think it'll be useful. Okay, just give me a sec while I set this up. Okay, all right. Welcome to the lecture segment of this reaction. So in Houseki no Kuni, there are a lot of literary dichotomies that play off each other, and these are used to frame conflict both within and amongst the different characters and factions. So last reading, I touched a little bit on the use of light versus darkness. So light... Yeah, my handwriting is so bad. Even on paper, it's bad. Okay, so light versus darkness, where light is used, as with many other stories, to symbolize both hope and ultimately life. So life, while death, not death, darkness is used to symbolize despair and death. So just put death here. Okay, so we see these dichotomies so far in Cinnabar's arc. Actually, why not? Let's just draw Cinnabar here. So here's Cinnabar, oops, sorry, with the cool red hair and like a permanent scowl. Okay, so Cinnabar would definitely be closer to this end of the scale, the way that the night is described as a cage to contain them, and Cinnabar wants desperately to escape from it but can't trust themselves enough to not hurt others, and so they just keep wallowing in their despair at their fate. So Cinnabar also wants the Lunarians to just take them, which I think for gems could be seen as their equivalents to death. You're shattered and you become completely dysfunctional, possibly even lose your memories and have to be rebuilt. It's also interesting that the microorganisms, the microorganisms in the gems' bodies that makes them immortal is powered by light, which is why they can't function properly at night. Everyone except Cinnabar, of course, who can function at night, and so they take the night patrol. Even more fascinating is how the Lunarians don't attack at night either, which I'm going to guess is because they can't. They might be similar to the gems in that they also need light to sustain themselves, and I'm pretty sure they're immortal as well. So that points to another really interesting dichotomy that runs parallel to these two, and that is the immortal versus the mortal, or like the flesh, which is a very common way of describing mortality as well. If you're in the flesh. Okay, so in volume 1, we, particularly where Foss becomes a slug, we see that the gems consider life forms that take on flesh to be vastly inferior, maybe not even worth preserving with their limited lifespans and, their gross bodily functions. And we see that really clearly in Rutile, who, even though I love them, didn't hesitate to slice through Slug Foss, and so casually said that if it really was Foss, then they should be fine and will survive due to their immortality. There was just no concern at all as to the consequences of the slug not being Foss, i.e. if it dies, then it dies. There's no concept of treating something that's not an immortal gem with any sort of compassion. And that mindset makes total sense, because the gems are born into a society where humanity, in the sense of beings in the flesh, aren't generally known about, let alone interacted with in any way. All they're brought up to know is that if you're mortal and you can die or need to eat to sustain your body, then you're weak, which lines up really well with gem society's emphasis on hardness being the key determinant of competency and strength, as opposed to non-hardness, or comparative softness. So there's hardness and then there's non-hardness. So if you're low on the hardest scale, say like a Foss or a Cinnabar, you're not as valuable a member of society as the Borts in the world. Actually, let's draw a Bort with their cool long hair. Again, permanent scale, similar to Cinnabar. So even worse, if you're fleshy, well, then even if you do exist, you probably don't deserve to. So these dichotomies so far have been really useful to me when reading through Houseki no Kuni to help track the motivations for why characters are the way that they are and where they might be going next. Take my favorite again, Cinnabar. So as I said before, they're caged by the night or the darkness. They want to die. Paradoxically, even though Cinnabar in the real world historically was consumed in elixirs by various emperors throughout history, attempting to gain immortality. But anyway, and I learned that from one of the comments in the anime reactions, which is really cool. Cinnabar is also low on the hardness scale, lower even than Foss, and really fascinatingly, in Volume 1, we found out that they are incredibly ashamed of their power to manipulate mercury, which is a very malleable, liquidy, gooey metal. Things that are more viscerally associated with flesh. And all of these characteristics fall on the right-hand side of these dichotomies. And because this side is considered so undesirable or even unthinkable in gem society, it's no wonder that Cinnabar is such an outcast and is miserable and just wants to escape. One last meta speculation using these dichotomies, and wow, if you have made it this far without skipping straight to the reaction, I'm really, really impressed. So it's kind of interesting to think about where the gems, the Lunarians, and the Admirabilis fall on these scales in relation to each other, and where that suggests the story might go. It is obvious that the gems and the Admirabilis fall on opposite ends of these scales. So with the ideal gem on the far left, they function due to light. They're immortal. They value scoring high on the Mohs scale, and the Admirabilis fall on the far right. In terms of preferring the dark, it might be a bit of a stretch, but it makes sense that the Admirabilis would prefer darkness because sunlight can't penetrate the surface of the ocean very far, and we know that the Admirabilis live on the sea floor. There is like bioluminescent light, I guess, down there, but relatively speaking, it's dark. We also know that the Admirabilis are mortal. They die and they reproduce, and they're also, as fleshy as ever. What really intrigues me is where the Lunarians fit in, and what that says about what they want. So it seems at this stage they share more in common with the gems than the Admirabilis, particularly if I'm right, and they need light to function, and they're also immortal. But we also know, at least from the anime, that the Lunarians are capturing both gems and Admirabilis, potentially to then combine the soul, bones, and flesh in order to restore humanity or the human form. But why exactly are they doing that? And my speculation is, given the heavy Buddhist symbolism that is attached to the Lunarians, that they are aiming to achieve nirvana or enlightenment, or like freedom from an endless cycle of reincarnations, of life, death, and reincarnations, which is what both the gems and the Admirabilis face in their own way. So to achieve this freedom, the Lunarians would need to take on human form, because according to Buddhist teachings, only someone who has achieved the ultimate ideal of human development or their full human potential can truly attain the awareness that is necessary to become an enlightened Buddha. Now, how does one achieve this ultimate ideal for human development? By practicing the middle way, just going to draw. This is the middle way. And very simply put, the middle way is a path to nirvana where you transcend or reconcile the extremes of opposing views, and in doing so are awakened to the true nature of humanity. Now, I'm aware that there are many, many different versions of Buddhism, and these are just simple generalizations of what is a very complex religion. So if you have any corrections or further insights, I'd love to hear from you. All right. So just going back to our wonderful diagram here, it would be the middle path, or the middle way would be things like reconciling both the good and the bad, or the light and the darkness that is inherent in every human. It's understanding that life and death are part of the same cycle, that you can find both joy in both of them, and that ultimately when one achieves nirvana here, there will be no life and there will be no death. Same thing with immortality and mortality. So nirvana represents finding the balance between these extremes, realizing that the seeming permanence of endless reincarnations and the impermanence or even the annihilationism of mortality, that between these two things is something else. Emptiness or transcendence or nirvana. That the Lunarians are literally taking bits from both ends, so from the gems and the admirabilis, and combining them together is weirdly like a very physical symbol of the middle way, as taught in Buddhism. So there's the middle way and it leads to enlightenment. Okay. Now, I'm not sure how this applies to Foss just yet, but I do have a few hunches that brings in even more Buddhist symbolism, which I won't go into this time, particularly to do with the Buddhist treasure tower and the Eightfold Path, which really are elaborations on how to practice the middle way, and seem to suggest that Foss eventually will be set on a path to enlightenment, same as what the Lunarians are trying to achieve. Yeah, so I'm going to file this diagram away for future reference, see how it pans out for the rest of the manga. Again, any thoughts you have about what I've got there, I'd love to hear them in the comments. All right, it's time we got going and jumped straight into volume 2. I've got Genshin Impact, the OST, going on in my ears, and yeah, if you've got your drinks, let's do this. All right, I'm just on the title page. It's a lot of liquidy stuff on the title page. Is that Cinnabar's Mercury? Or maybe it's the slug, the slime from the slug. I see amethyst and yellow. They kind of look a bit warped. Okay. Blank page. Land of the Lustrous Volume 2 by Haruko Ichikawa. And yeah, those are definitely... I'm 90% certain that those are Cinnabar's shoes. Ooh, pretty excited. Okay. Oh, character introductions. All right, we definitely have to go through each of these. Euclase. Right, so we found out in the Land of Late Night Gaming that Euclase is a bit of a maths genius, which makes sense because people with clipboards usually are. Jade is the president. Yep, as a couple of you mentioned to me, takes things too seriously. Cinnabar lives in isolation so as not to infect others with venom. Yeah. Rutile, doctor, not a quack. Yeah, so Rutile definitely wrote this part, this page. Oh, and you see the diamonds, the pair of them, the closest to Sensei, which I found interesting. I remember in the anime, I kind of was asking, does Sensei have favorites? And if so, I think it would be the diamonds. So Dia, hardness 10, wants to be like what? That basically sums up their character. Loves to talk about love, so they're a bit of a romantic. And I do really like that about Daya. It's just in such a tough, hard world, it's nice to have a character that's softer, if not physically, then at least on the inside. Bought second only to Sensei in strength. Battle freak. Yeah, I feel like definitely Rutile. Someone that's not bought definitely wrote this. Morganite, pink yet troublemaking, as if pink is the opposite of troublemaking. Goshenite always has a furrowed brow, very kind. Or I would say this is a page out of Foss's unfinished encyclopedia, but given that it says Doctor Not a Quack, probably not. Unless Rutile was standing over them, imagine, and threatening to cut them up if they wrote anything but. Neptunite. Okay, so I feel like these are the gems we didn't really get to know in the anime. We saw them, but they kind of stayed in the background a bit. Lovingly called Nepti. Has a bit of a sharp tongue. Benetoit. Kind of French sounding. Easily dragged into things. Phosphophylite. The hero of our story. The youngest at age 300. Just plain weak. Okay, alright. We can cross out the possibility of Foss being the author. Currently struggling to help Cinnabar. Oh, hang on. Wait, so... okay, this is like a 2-page spread and Foss is draped over Sensei's legs. Red Beryl, who's helping Sensei fix up his robe. Fashion consultant, a stylish gem with a new hairstyle every day. Obsidian, yep, the arms specialist, surprisingly chipper for someone in the weapons industry. Yeah, that's true. Well, you know, people in the weapons industry in our world are pretty chipper as well. They make so much money. Kongo Sensei, the great and terrible Sensei. Yellow Diamond, beloved eldest of all the gems, quick-witted and fleet of foot. Yeah, I do remember with Yellow, they had this issue, I guess, of running away. Was it? I don't remember. I'll have to see. Zircon, second youngest after Foss, and interestingly paired with the oldest gem, hardworking and talented. And Amethyst, of course. On the left is the carefree 84, on the right, the laid back 33. Just total opposites to each other. One is carefree and the other is laid back. Yeah, I definitely pegged Amethyst as the Aussie, just because of how laid back they were. Alright, I love that. Alright, table of contents. So we get quite a few, well, one more chapter in this volume. Ventricosus, the slug, the lewd slug is really thirsty. Ocean, spirit, flesh, bone. I'm really excited for this volume because this is, I'm assuming, where we get all the lore. And even in the anime, I think it was episode 4 where the lore just kind of got dropped on you like a dump truck, and I loved it. Homecoming, New Legs, Yellow Diamond, Twin Crystals. Land of the latest fashion, so something to do with Red Beryl, I'm assuming. Maybe it's like a fashion show of some kind. Like Gem's Top Idol or something. Hopefully a continuation of the warm family feels that we got from last time. Okay, let's do this. Chapter 7, Ventricosus. So, look, I'm not sure if the Lunarians are worshipping Sensei or begging him for something. It's kind of hard to say. Oh, by the way, yeah, so I'm going to be doing the page number system on the left and right again, just to make it easier to follow along. Alright, so Sensei is meditating, obviously in communion somehow with the Lunarians. So there's some intricate connection there that I really want to get to the bottom of. And the gems don't at all, except for Foss eventually. So the thing surrounding Sensei kind of looks like the ocean, I guess, which makes sense because that's, I guess, their origin story and the source of where the gems come from. Oh. And then they're all gone. It was a dream that does not bode well, and I overslept. So I guess he gets these premonitions in the dreams that he has and shares nothing at all with the gems, which again doesn't really sit well with me. Oh, that's Jade. Sensei, you're awake. Jade. How long was I meditating? Almost an entire day. I see. I didn't mean to carry on so long. Thank you for always taking care of things. Pat, head pat. I'll hear the report now. Yes, Sensei. First, the Lunarians. 2 vessels appeared almost simultaneously around noon yesterday. One over the Keen wetlands and one above the school. The Keen wetlands. Why didn't you wake me? Crack. Oh, well, we didn't have the chance. We dealt with them both so quickly. Seems like Sensei has a little bit of a temper. I dealt with them. But so cool. There's quite some distance between the Keen wetlands and the school. It was no trouble. That's our bort. Head pat again. But it's very unusual to have so much to do all at once. I don't want you overworking yourself. I'm not overworking myself, Sensei. Bort. Bort has the weight of all the gems on their shoulder because they're, I guess, the best performing one, and they know it as well. Like, they know that they have to just be the best all the time. I assume everyone is unharmed. Yes, after all was said and done. Everyone, because Foss doesn't count. Good. Anything else? Let's see. Red Barrel would like you to take a look at the sturdiness of some new fabric. Yiko's dropped part of the watch schedule for the coming months into the pond and has requested more time. Very well. Into the pond. And you are in the presence of the great ruler of the Admirabilis race. I am Ventricosus. Oh, okay, so wait. Okay, so Foster's outside communicating with the slug. Thus, kneel before. Oh, so I'd forgotten that Ventricosus was actually the ruler. The king. Yeah, king, sorry. That's right. Lowly jellyfish, desist. Touch me not, you little perv. And Foss gives no Fs. I noticed the columns are still kind of cracked from the fight. Darn, I was hoping it'd shrink again. Hehe. I was born and raised in the waters off your coast. This adorably petite size is my natural state. The Lunarians have taken my people and their beautiful shells away to the moon. They fattened us up on the sweet water and sand of the moon and turned us into mindless animals. New piece of information? Like, fattened up like cows to the slaughter? To eat? My compatriots are still there, being kept as livestock. Yeah, it sounds like for consumption. Does that not break your heart? Well, if it's true, I might sort of feel bad for you, but I don't know. Anyway, why me? It's true. Foss, you're talking to yourself, you poor thing. They're cracked in more ways than one. How are you feeling? Don't strain yourself. Is that yellow? Yeah. Well, because yellow is also, along with Dire, one of the nice gems. Maybe the natural history assignment really was just too much for you. Neurosis ought to be treated quickly. I can't tell if it's sarcastic or genuine. Probably sarcastic. Let's all play cards tonight, okay? Oh my goodness. Look, no matter how much they pay for that, they all still care for them as the tiny little, you know, sister or brother. Well. Thirsty slug comes out. I'm the only one. Everybody thinks I'm sick in the head because I can understand you. How are you going to make it up to me? Huh, what a surprise. I had no idea these things truly happened. I guess Ventricosus is also surprised that Foss can understand them. I was already famous for being useless. Of all the gems here, why did you have to eat me? Because your colour looked absolutely scrumptious. That is an interesting similarity between, I guess, the Admirables, assuming Ventricosus is sort of representative of the rest of them. They all like mint green. I don't know what that means, so it must be some deeper meaning. Diamond, babe, how's it going? It's a good thing that the other gems can't really hear what the slug is saying. Fossy, you alright? No. Nothing to worry about here. My, what a glorious country. Nothing but cuties everywhere I look. This is like, so I'm gonna assume this slug is super horny because they're flesh and, you know, they have reproductive organs and, you know, all the hormones pumping through their body, which leads me to assume that with gems, there's no sex, there's no like sexual drive or desire, but they can feel love, as, you know, evidenced by Daya, and I guess the other gems in different ways. So that's really interesting. I may not look it, but I actually have a theme for the prickly type. Yes, like the hottie with the long black hair, for example. Oh man. Oh, that red one that goes out at night. Ugh. And then Foss is like, hands off. You've met Cinnabar? But my goodness, the brains on that one. Yes, agreed, totally agreed. Knowing the habits of my species and deducing instantly that you had become a part of my shell, that is very attractive. I think that is more attractive than the, you know, the coldness and the aloofness. If not for that, cutie, they may never have put you back to normal. And Foss, again, destroyed by the fact that it was Cinnabar who had to save them. Cinnabar saved me again. That's not good. That's bad. Hehe, I understand. You don't want to look bad in front of your dream, but... Huh? What's that mean? No, it's nothing like that. Sure. Cinnabar told me a secret. I think I'm the only other gem who knows it. Other than Rutile? And I don't know why, but I don't want to think that Lona would have told just anyone. See, Oh wait, the secret is referring to the fact that Cinnabar wants to be taken by the Lunarians. I've never had anyone depend on me before. So next time, I absolutely have to be the one who does the saving. Alright. Yosh. It's time to get serious. I shall join you. You can go do some sightseeing or something. Allow me to take you apart and reassemble you. Again, so casually, just tearing things apart, seeing what makes them tick. Why? No thanks. I must. It's just a little neurosis from the stress. It's stress. More people will question my competence. As if they don't already question you, Rutile. Take that. Chew the love. Yeah, I mean, I think I would totally go for Rutile. One, because they are intelligent, and two, they just have such a fascinating different sides to them. Like, they're so cold and calculating in terms of just discovering more about how gems work. But also, as you can see with the way that they treat Padpa, they've got this really soft side to them as well. So I kind of really like Rutile for that. You won't get away from me. Doctor's orders. What is Ventricosus doing? I don't even want to... Okay, some kind of weird fetish. I'm meant to be obeyed. A snail that eats stone. Yes, Sensei. And it... Splat. No eyes, just no expression. That's gonna be my fault. I'm sorry, Cinnabar. It's all over. So dramatic. But again, can't blame them because Sensei is super scary. Oh my, you're a sight for sore eyes. Something's wrong. I can't nibble on this one. Oh, so okay, yeah. Well, Sensei, Adamant Sensei is obviously that's a type of diamond. I haven't really looked up that, but yeah. Is this the snail? So unperturbed. Sensei has seen a lot, and this slug isn't gonna surprise him. And all the gems in the background. Even Bort. Bort has a heart and a sense of humor. I see. Ruler of the shellfish. Although our circumstances are different, seashells too are among the lustrous. Seashells are among the lustrous, I guess referring to their common ancestry from the microorganisms at the bottom of the sea. You are welcome here. What do you intend to do now? I want you to be my bow. It wants to be a servant. That's what it says. Fost doing some damage control. I cannot comply with that request. It is vital that our relations be based on equality and friendship. So he wants some kind of alliance with the Admirabilis? I don't know, my impression from the anime was that Sensei didn't look upon the Admirabilis very favorably. Maybe that's mixed up in my head. I think I'm thinking about when Antark comes along and there are those ice flows. So maybe there are two completely different things. I can tell that it thinks favorably of me, but it's not thinking favorably of him. It just wants to bite him in a lewd way. But you are the only one who can understand the sovereign's words. You will be the snail's companion as part of your natural historian duties. Okay, so is Sensei just again casually pimping out Foss? Sensei, about Cinnabar. Is that empty, pointless job really the only way? Stare. I know Cinnabar might be dangerous, but this is such a waste of talent. Besides, Cinnabar saved me from my own incompetence twice now. Isn't there any other... Forgive me. I don't have a solution to this problem yet. Besides, the night patrol was Cinnabar's own idea. This was a really sad part. I've told Cinnabar time and again. The image of Cinnabar reaching out to wanting to touch a flower, like a living thing, and just have it crumble in their hand is so sad because it goes to show how much they want to be on the side of life, and yet, again, thinking about that scale, right, from life to death, and Cinnabar's stuck over on this side, they just spread death wherever they go, and it's like they can't, that's just who they are. That staying alive is all I expect of the child. Honestly, I feel that is probably the worst thing you could say to someone who... It's just natural to want to do more than just be alive, especially when everyone else around you are doing all these interesting, productive things. Yeah, that's their room for Mercury. With the flowers all planted on the side. The head pat. Wait, so Cinnabar's... Yeah, it seems like Cinnabar's Mercury doesn't affect Sensei either. Kind of like how the slugs... the slug can't bite into Sensei's head. Huh, interesting. But the poor thing is too wise and too kind to merely sit and breathe as time marches on. Again, I'm just kind of amazed that even in manga form, where it's still image, the emotion that it can convey is really something. In the end, Cinnabar came up with the night patrol assignment. I don't have the heart to take it away. But as a result, the child is trapped in the night. It is my own irresolution and ignorance that brought this about. Well, what else could he have done, though? Please wait a while longer for a solution. We are too complex to merely live. This is the line. But fortunately, we are also blessed with an overabundance of time. Yeah, so I feel like this is a reference, or you can refer back to what Rutile said in Volume 1, where, you know, is it a blessing really that we're immortal, like we have infinite amounts of time, which means if, say, we're like Cinnabar and we're sort of stuck in this endless cage, prison, that is a fate worse than death. Yeah. I know it can be frustrating to have to be patient and do things in such a roundabout way, but if you want to be ready to help Cinnabar when the time comes, then you must fulfill your own obligations. So somehow Sensei, I guess, knows that Foss, in completing the encyclopedia, will somehow find a way or a solution to help Cinnabar, a solution that has somehow eluded him for all of these years and centuries. Oh, this is just Foss. Again, doing what they do, just lying in the grass, chilling. I don't think I can find anything for Cinnabar, not in this land. Maybe because, you know, things are so set in this society that you've really got to think outside the box to really find a place for someone who doesn't fit into those restrictions. Let us go to the beach. Closer, closer, almost there. Cease, desist. That's all rulers speak like that. So what are you saying? Just play your cares away? Stupid? I meant to say no such thing. With my new svelte figure, I regained my mind and my memories. I have no idea what svelte figure is. Maybe like their original form? The beach leads to the ocean, my backyard, where you will find creatures that look remarkably like you. That look like us? There is such a thing? I suspect they may provide you with a clue. It's a 2-in-1 deal. You can compose your natural history and gladden your heart. Act now and I'll throw you in a lovable little guide. Oh, look at me. The snail is feeling sorry for me. Thanks, Lord Stinky Grossness. That's Lord Ventricosus. We're not allowed to go into the ocean, but oh well, I'm useless anyway. Again, not allowing to head into the ocean. Weird. Sensei. I might as well take the risk. Alright, end of chapter 7. Let's power straight through. Chapter 8, Ocean. Good morning. Is that Euclides? Going to see Rutile. Right. Oh, I love that view of the infirmary. I love any buildings with arches, like those rounded arches. Just love. Oh, Euclides. You're up early. Sorry to bother you when you're so busy. I was hoping to go into the pond. Is that all right? Let's get some salt-proof resin on you so your powder doesn't come off. Thanks for telling me before jumping in. Last summer was so hot we didn't get a good crop of powder blossom berries. Climate change even in Gem World. But apparently the winter was so cold we managed to get plenty of resin. Wow, really? Are you still looking for the papers you dropped in the pond during the snail fiasco? I think the jellyfish have eaten them by now, but just in case. I hate to waste paper. You clays. Okay, so I feel like there's a trio of very nice gems so far. We've got Dire, there's Yellow, and there's Euclades. You're so responsible. You think so? Wait. How are they peeling off? Okay, somehow they're peeling off their pants. It's a one piece? Yeah. It's so interesting. On the inside of their uniforms is like a plant pattern. Nice view. It's been so peaceful these last 2 days. And the light is delicious. Delicious? It's an interesting way to put light. I guess as beings whose body is dependent on light going through them and charging them up, I guess that makes sense. I suppose that's because Sensei is awake. But what does that have to do with light being delicious? Maybe because they're more at ease and so the light tastes better? That's weird. He's been restless lately, what with the 2 Lunarian invasions that one day. In the 2,173 years I've been around, they've come an average of once every 3 days in clear weather. I wonder if something changed. What did change? Was it capturing Ventricosus and sort of having more of a plan around a plan of attack? That's a lot of bees. We're not as bright as we look. Bright as in smart? We're not sensitive like the plants. We don't notice how hot it is in summer or cold in winter. We can't sense danger like the insects. Do you think we have our immortality to blame for that? Yeah, probably. The fact that, again, this is the strength of being flesh, right? It's you have nerves that run through your skin and it signals to your brain whether or not something's not quite right or like a sense of danger or something. It's thanks to it that we don't have to be scared of a little change. Oh, so it's so interesting. These are sort of the 2 sides of the argument as to whether or not being immortal with no sense, as in senses in the normal way that humans have senses, whether that's good or bad or not. I'm a little scared. I break more easily than everyone else. By the way, the resin? Yeah, about that. I can't find it. Rutile pissed. It was right here yesterday. That's so weird. What? Yuck. Red Barrel? Have you seen the new suit I made? I thought I'd get up early to add the finishing touches, but it's gone. And Sensei even gave me an extra day to finish it. I'm in so much trouble. I dressed up for the reveal and everything. It's funny that so Sensei manages all of their tasks and stuff, and it kind of seems like he micromanages as well, like giving them an extra day to finish it is really specific. New suit? You mean the sturdier uniform? Would I know it if I saw it? Of course. I made the contours prettier by taking the shoulders in a full percent. And I made the gloves easier to get on and off. Would I know that? Yuka's like, I don't know. Oh, and that thing on Red Barrel's finger. I know that that's what fashion people use, seamstresses use to do something. I have no idea. Sorry, I'm really terrible at sewing and all that. The tag's different. Just branding everyone. Establishing their fashion house. You've been layering that since yesterday. Hurry it up, peasant. Just hold on. If I go in now, my powder will come off and you won't be able to stand the sight of me. And it's not good to soak in salt water. It takes a certain amount of preparation to go deep sea diving. Gloop. Deep sea, eh? Do you have Sensei's permission? Red Barrel? Maybe I should make that less puffy. Do that later, you darn fashion nut. I won't allow it. Straight up, yeah. Well, it's funny because Sensei is okay with Foss gathering information within the bounds of the gem world. As soon as it touches anything outside of that, or maybe he is just genuinely worried for Foss's safety. I don't know, maybe it's a bit of both. But it will help with my natural history. It would be one thing if you had already completed your survey of the hills, but I have yet to receive a single report. I kept my mouth shut because I wanted to let you do things your way. Oh, Sensei is not playing around, but now I'm telling you to start with what is in front of you. Which makes sense, but there's still this underlying sense that Sensei doesn't want Foss venturing out to where they might find out more than what they bargained for, or should. Finished my survey of the hills, but this is me we're talking about. It could take years. But what is years, you know, if you live thousands and thousands and thousands of years? What if something happens to Cinnabar before I'm done? Oh, yeah, okay, I guess they are on a timeline. What's up? Why the weird noises? Oh, well, your hills don't appear to have much nutritional value. My stamina is failing. Here's the flesh kicking in, the mortality. Oh yeah, animals can't survive on just light. They need food too, huh? Quite so. And different animals require different... Okay, that's passed out. Too weak. Your Majesty? Foss finally giving them the deference that they deserve when they're passed out. Oops, I must have dozed off. My stamina is failing. Don't be so confusing. I thought you were doing that death thing. But then again, I don't really get that whole death business. You ate me, but I came back. What is death? What is death indeed? Is it like when someone's really sleepy or like they can't move or something? Sidebar, there was a really interesting, when I was doing my research on Buddhism and sort of all the symbolism that is encapsulated in all of these images, there's this image of where Buddhist thinking considers life and death sort of like being awake and being asleep. It's not that one has nothing to do with the other. It's both of them are, as I said, part of the same cycle, and yeah, there's no end. It just keeps going and going and going until you reach nirvana. So yeah, it's interesting that Foss thinks like that too. Intriguing question. I suppose it means to no longer be. Yeah, so to no longer be is sort of like the nihilist way of thinking, where once you die, that's it. You don't go on, your consciousness is not there anymore, it's just that's it. Which is again antithetical to what the gems of Lunarians or the Buddhist way of thinking is. But even if you can't see them, you're still somewhere, right? No, they're not anywhere, and they will never be found. Yep, okay, so this is definitely confirming the fact that the Admirabilists are quite annihilationist. And they won't hear me if I call. Not even if you call them by name. Once someone is dead, they don't even know who they are anymore. However, in exchange for taking everything away, death gives life value. It's not such a terrible thing. Right? Again, this is something, I feel like something that Foss wants, because they're looking for the meaning or the purpose of their life. It's harder for them to understand because they don't have a concept of death, which so often gives life its meaning. Because if there is an end in sight, that makes you so much more likely to appreciate life and look for what makes life meaningful. But it's still kind of sad, indeed. But it is unavoidable. I wasn't lying when I said there were creatures like you in the sea, but the truth is, I was hoping to see my home. I was prepared never to return, but now that I'm so close, it is all I can think about. No matter how much has been taken, how ravaged it's been, even with no one left, I can't help but want to see it. So, the Lunarians did that. Splash. Are you quite sure? What choice do I have? Sensei told me to start with what's in front of me. Foss, the lawyer, just reading into the fine print of what Sensei said to justify what they're doing. I care about Cinnabar, but I care about you too, Your Majesty. You're too weak to make it there on your own. It's very ironic. It's Foss the weak one helping someone who's even more weaker. Indeed. Bet you feel so bad, Ventricosus, for your imminent betrayal. Alright, so they're heading into the ocean. Oh, this is the ocean floor. I was gonna say, what are those stabby things coming down? I guess that's sort of the light's reflection? The reflection from the buildings, yeah. Got some, that looks like a pretty normal ocean bed. How far is it to your home, Your Majesty? Not far at all. More importantly, it is my understanding that you are extraordinarily fragile. If the waves dash you to pieces, you may not be able to return home. I guess that's okay. Is it? Well, yeah, I guess because they won't die as such, but then again, Rutiles are not there to put them back together. Okay, they've headed very far out now. Yeah, it is. It's true that Cinnabar told me that secret, but my promise was all my idea. That's right. They kind of just blurted it out without really thinking about it, and now they're paying for it because now they really have to follow through on helping Cinnabar find their purpose. It's stupid of me to let it weigh me down, but I can't go back now. So this is gutsy Foss talking, and this is really, I feel, the strength of Foss's character is regardless of whatever their hardness or lack of it, they're, you know, drifting, they're not knowing what to do with their own life. They have this, they have conviction and they have loyalty. And once an idea gets planted in their head, they will see it through to the end. I can't forget and I can't disappear. So all I can do is go on. So hey, that's a very good approach to life. Those creatures that look like us, do they have death? It's funny, even the way that Foss is framing the question still is like they don't really get death. It's like, do you have it? Can you eat it? The true form of Ventricosus. Wow, they look very, almost exactly the same as in the anime. Yes, we do. Oh wait, we as in... Right, so they were talking about themselves, the Admirables. The beautiful shell is merely a garment. Our true bodies are made only of flesh. Ergo, they rot away and we die, leaving not a trace. Merely a garment. Let us make haste. Make haste. Again, very ruler type language. Alright, that's the end of chapter 8. Chapter 9, Spirit, Flesh, Bone. So this is, I guess, the chapter where we get the backstory, or the origin story, at least according to the Admirabilis or Ventricosus. So it may not or may not be reliable, but I'm pretty sure that the whole part about the gems being the bone, the Admirabilis being flesh, and the Lunarians as a soul is accurate, because it makes sense so far with everything that we've seen. The memories. So their home has been completely destroyed. It's really just the rubble, or just sand. We are close. This scent, at least, remains unchanged. It is the same as it was before the Lunarians appeared. That's very sad. Is something the matter? Let's go. You won't be able to go any further once the sun goes down, is that not so? Point. Seeking? Speaking. That was a very good pun. What are you? What am I? I am I. But you said that totally disgusting thing you called adorable was your true form. This is my true form. I can take this shape when I am near my home. Does it not closely resemble your kind? Wait, so they can only take on their true form when they're near their home? Maybe they're just, like, talking crap. I don't know. Yeah, it does. But it's so bouncy. You have so many legs and so many frills. We're not nearly so, you know, vulgar. Silence. Yeah, interesting. Well, it's interesting that Foss has even the word vulgar in their vocabulary. Because if you don't have the concept of like what is like, they don't know what flesh is and what that entails. So how could they know what is vulgar or not? I don't know. Silence. And those water sacs are really scary. What are they? Water sacs. These are an especially valuable and cherished part of the body. Extol them. I guess it's important for their reproductive, like, you know, like most animals, their physical assets are useful in attracting the right partner. Phew, that was a shock to the system. So what are you, a kind of jellyfish? Don't be absurd. My people are far sexier than jellyfish. Oh really? Wow, I don't see it. That's right, they the gems use jellyfish as light in the school. Well, whatever. I'm just glad you can swim on your own now. Yes, you may throw that away now. Huh? It is burdensome, is it not? Oh, this? She's thinking about Rutile being like, how dare you throw away my special medicine basket? No, I can't throw it away. We're taught to take good care of things. And I'm already sneaking out. If I don't bring this back, I'll be in serious trouble. Interestingly, note how rules-abiding Foss is at this point. Very different to what they become later on. But hey, why do we look so much alike? I don't know all the details myself. Why do you suppose that is? You are supposed to be writing a natural history. Make a hypothesis. Ugh, now you're talking like Sensei. Let me think. The jellyfish were so stunned by our beauty that they all unanimously wished to be like us. Enough of the jellyfish. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I know, the sea slugs were so jealous of our cuteness. You've never experienced much discipline, have you? Come on, Your Majesty. You may not know the details, but you do know something. Tell me. You are oddly perceptive at times. Yeah, so in Gem Society, Foss is considered a dunce and just had no idea about anything that they consider as important, but really, Foss is asking all the right questions here. You give me the strangest feeling that you have potential. Possibly the first time anyone or anything has ever said that to Foss. I can see how you give that hottie so much trouble. Big brains attract each other. Very well then. Here we go. According to our legend, this planet was once home to creatures known as humans. The first mention of humans, I think. Exciting. They tenaciously survived on land through the fifth break-off. The fifth break-off, so I guess, I don't know, maybe we ruined our planet so much that it was just breaking apart. But when the sixth came, they fled at last to the ocean. So, okay, so maybe not. So I think it was the comets, they smashed into the meteors, they smashed into the earth, became moons, and then that's how the land disappeared or was wrecked. They fled at last to the ocean. They divided into 3 parts: spirit, flesh, and bone. Whoa, the impact from going into the ocean split them into 3 parts, but they were still alive. Nice work, humans. I didn't think animals could do that. What is that? Woohoo! So as humans were jumping into the ocean and split themselves into 3 parts, they were like, well, this is the ride of a lifetime. Oh no, not like that. It only sounds that way because I was being dramatic. Yeah, so obviously this happened, I guess, over millennia, and obviously all the humans died, but then the parts of them over time became 3 different things. But please understand, the nuance I was going for is that they survived by gradually metamorphosizing into 3 different types. Yeah. Tradition has it that my race, the Admirables, is the flesh. We have inherited their unique ability to weave a tapestry of knowledge through careful repetition of the cycle of reproduction and death. Meanwhile, the bone made a pact with a different life form, gaining the ability to exist through long spans of time, and returned to land. The light going on in Foss's head. That's just like... This is merely the hazy origin story handed down by my people. I do not know the truth of it. Okay, so even Ventricosus is like, this is kind of myth. It's not, you know, verified, but that's just what I know. But it sounds a lot like our origin story, the one that Foss was made to recite right at the start of Volume 1. Yes, I had such a presentiment. Why? Because it is also said that in order to gain a pure new land and regain its former glory, the spirit wanders in a quest to reclaim its flesh and bone, just as they do. So this regaining their new land and its former glory does sound a lot like enlightenment or nirvana. The spirit, the Lunarians, are doing what they do because they want to go back to being humans? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I do not know. Okay, you gotta give Ventricosus big ups for, you know, being cautious about what they know, just being a little bit skeptical, but still laying it out there for Foss to make their own decision. But we possess our own minds. I believe it is much too late to turn back on the paths we have taken. Right, so I guess once they split up into the 3 different factions, for one of them, so for the Lunarians to recombine all of them together, they can't, there's no way to do it peacefully because they've all just developed their own culture, their own ways of living, even physically they're very different. So the only way really for the Lunarians to do what they want to do, i.e. regain their former glory or nirvana, is to take it by force. That's really interesting. Very non-Buddhist, because, you know, Buddhism is all about, you know, peace and being your best self and treating everything with respect. But the Lunarians are just kind of the opposite of that, even though they're trying to do something that is apparently what Buddhism is all about. Their thoughts are not our thoughts. They are too dreadful to understand. But as you say, we have no choice but to move forward. We must fight for ourselves and our people. But why? I know it's probably going to be way down the track, but I just want to know what the Lunarians think about all this and their perspective. Because the way that it's painting them as if they're just horrible, awful, mindless beings is a little bit too much, and there's probably more backstory than that. Why do we have to fight? If what you're saying is true, then the spirit was part of our people too. We were all one, right? So to Foss, the Lunarians aren't all 100% bad through and through, which is really interesting. Who can say? But when I was on the moon, what I felt is that while the Lunarians have no particular enemy, they take pleasure in war and their thirst for battle is never satisfied. I have a vague suspicion that their unfocused restlessness exists because that is the sort of creature humans were. It's a bit of a truth bomb there. And I guess it's you can't really argue against that, can you? I guess humans have always been defined by their ennui, like there's restlessness, and that always drives us to want to progress and move forward and push forward by whatever means necessary, even if it's war, maybe especially because it's war, like when there's competition to outdo another tribe or whatever. In that case, I think we've changed for the better. We can work things out with or without them. Yes, you may be right. We have arrived. I'm exhausted. Not far, you said. The sun is setting. I almost didn't make it. Still, this is your home? There's nothing here. Just Ventricosus just jetting off. See ya. Just gonna go and betray you. Be right back. Oh, that's it for me. I can't move. I'm gonna lie down. Let me know when you're ready to go back, just as you care about Cinnabar. I too have someone I care about. Forgive me. Look of utter surprise on Foss's face. Dong. Oh my goodness. It's just smashed just instantly with all those arrows that led them to the exact target spot. I can't see Foss's, I think that's Foss's eyes down in the lower left corner. Can't really tell. Just, that's their legs gone. Yeah. Is that regret on Ventricosus's face? No. It's the face of someone being forced to do something that they don't want to do, but have to because of circumstances. They've all got, the Lunarians all have these little grins on their faces, which kind of doesn't help their case. Like, they really do look like they enjoy being in battle and making other people's lives hell. This in exchange for Achilles. That's the end of chapter 9. Alright, I think we can do one more. Chapter 10, Homecoming. Oh, Foss. Dia just dropping in to check on their favourite younger sibling. They're so sweet. I heard everyone yelled at you because you wanted to go research the ocean. I'll help you talk to Sensei, so cheer up, okay? Dia. Oh my goodness, Dia is just giving me diabetes. Don't sulk, it's not like... Poof. The classic rolled up blanket. Any luck? No. Please don't tell me that idiot actually went into the ocean. Why the sudden obsession anyway? Rutile actually worried. Okay, that's good to see. It is strange now that I think about it, and I forgot to wipe off all that resin. It's too soon to jump to conclusions. We've still only looked inside the school. Yeah, maybe Foss had a change of heart and is now working away on that natural history. Yeah, no, not Foss. Ah, Jade, ever the optimist. I'll go check outside. You're too trusting and you're too skeptical. It's the clash of ideals. Over Foss too, which is very sweet. Like they both just want to find Foss. Dia, I have an idea. Uh, Cinnabar, please help. Please save them again. Can't help you. And I thought I told you we're better off without that useless dolt. But it's just so weird why this sudden need to go to the ocean. It's like Foss is desperate to find something that doesn't exist in the hills. It's like, yeah, this is some masterclass manipulation from Dyer because they know that Cinnabar is the link to Foss's obsession with finding out the truth, or the answers at least. Yeah, well done, Dyer. Like your heart. If you don't cut that out, this is, I just imagine when Dyer isn't out with Bort, or at least, you know, Bort is doing all the hard work and won't let Dyer fight anything. Dyer would just sit off in the grass and take out a sheaf of paper and just write fanfic about all of the different gems. Anyway, help us look, okay, Cinnabar? I never asked you. That is true. They never asked Foss to help, but their heart was just screaming out at Foss to please help them. So in a way, you know, you are responsible, Cinnabar. Just fishing Foss out without their legs, which they have now lost permanently. So we've got, they lost the eye back in volume 1 and now 2 of their legs in volume 2. Smiling. That's absurd. Who's saying that? Bring you, oh, okay, Ventricosus. Bring you another one. That wasn't our agreement. So not only are they ruthless and cruel, they also have no sense of honesty or, you know, keeping their promises. First, you will restore my countryman to his senses. Phosphophylite is worth at least that much. All right. So that's the, what are they shooting at Ventricosus? It's not arrows, it's some kind of liquid. No. But they are no fools. The same trick won't work twice. If we were to use Foss as bait, yes, that solitary gem with the keen powers of observation, we may catch Cinnabar. Using Cinnabar's love, I guess. Ugh. So Foss, I guess, overhears that. And I'm imagining they're like, no, don't use Cinnabar. That would be the worst thing you could possibly do to that poor gem. It's already been through so much. No, Phosphophylite is the... Oh, so Ventricosus read in Foss's eyes this desperation, I guess, for them not to go near Cinnabar, and they acceded to that silent request. Oh, Phosphophylite is the best I can do. They already suspect me, even if I were to go back. Oh, that's right. They were stabbing Ventricosus with something that makes their skin sizzle. So they're, in a way, they're still on Foss's side, even after betraying them. They're like, well, I'll try to minimize the damage that I've already caused. Yeah. It's gonna take a lot of storytelling to change my mind about the Lunarians, and I guess that's sort of the point, is you're meant to hate them at the start, and possibly by the end of all of this, you're like, oh, maybe the Lunarians had a point. But at this stage, they're just pure villainy. Because somehow Foss got their mouth bindings off. Your Majesty, I smell food. That's Culiatus waking up. How cute. Culiatus. I didn't find them cute at all. I guess the eyes, maybe. Okay, and the decapitation of Lunarian, successful. Just kind of tipping over into the ocean. Shh. Achilles. That was really quick. And all the rest of them just being snapped up by the tentacles. Swish. Foss just helplessly looking in the bowl. Crack. Oh, this is when they lose their eye. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am? I don't remember Culiatus being this respectful. That delicious smell woke me up, and look what we have here. Not only am I right by home, but you're here too, dear sister. Am I lucky or what? Ugh, you can do nothing more than eat and fight, my fool of a brother. Well, well, you're so much tougher than when I last saw you. I don't know what's going on, but let's get out of here quick. The Lunarians break easy, but they're fast and clever. I like the contrast between Achilles and Ventricosus. It kind of reminds me of Glenna the Good Witch and damn it, in Wicked. Oh my gosh, it's total mind blank. Yeah, anyway, Good Witch, Bad Witch. Words probably already gotten back to the moon that we've escaped. They'll be here any... Is that a bone person? A bone person. Man, it's fallen apart. But that's a really pretty colour, just like the Western Shallows. I bet the Lunarians would love it. What are the Western Shallows? Somewhere up on the moon? Oh, I get it. You used that little rock to rescue me, didn't you? And look at that, the Lunarians didn't get you. Talk about good luck. This is probably our last chance to save our mother and father and the others from the livestock gig. Come to think of it, you're the only one who kept her senses on the moon. It must have been tough making all this happen. Oh, okay, there's a lot there. So, okay, we already know that they're kept as livestock and they're kind of caused to lose their minds and become, I guess, non-thinking, just flesh things from meat, basically. Interestingly, they mention their mother and father also amongst the captives, and somehow Ventricosus was the only one that managed to not turn into a mindless snail thing. That's interesting. I wonder what set them apart though. So if they're the ruler, maybe, I don't know, maybe they have some kind of superior conscious mind that they tapped into. All on your own, making this happen all on your own. No fair, your majesty. Now that I've heard that, I can't get mad at you. Foss also has a very deep compassion to them as well. That's very admirable. Again, compassion is not a value, I feel, which is looked well upon in gem society. So you don't care if we use you as a bargaining chip. I guess if you're immortal, these things don't bother you. You may never make it back home. Again, there are fates worse than death, and maybe to something that's mortal, that doesn't really compute. Like, to mortals like us, right, being immortal sounds fantastic. Like, who wouldn't want to be? But really, there's good and bad to both immortal and immortality. In exchange, don't let them get Cinnabar. Okay. I promise. I'm just catching onto the tentacles. Oh. Alright, so their ethics are playing up. Their conscience is telling them no. You're sure? Yeah, I forgive you. Maybe Foss... I think maybe going through Foss's mind right now is, I'm in this situation and Obviously, I'm not qualified to find out the answer for Cinnabar. The least I can do is just keep them safe, like today. I mean, I don't have the energy to fight back, and I'd never think of such a good way to save my friends, so what am I gonna do? What have I been doing with my life? I'm 300 years old today. It's Foss's birthday? I bet you're way younger than me. I'm really impressed. This is where they get touched, huh? You're so soft. Human touch. So you can touch me without melting me. Oh, it's a choice. Huh, they can control their acid liquid. Sister, we must change as well, or we're no better than Lunarians. Let's go home. Yeah. So, ironically, rediscovering their humanity. Like, these two, for each different faction, yes, they each have a piece of what used to be humanity, but it seems like the Lunarians are the only ones that maybe didn't get the memo about being kind and compassionate and treating other beings with respect. Okay, so they're all on the shore. It's at sunset. Watch for any changes in the tide. Yes, Sensei. Again, head pats. And Cinnabar just being like, I want to go into the ocean and find that dumb Foss, but I also don't want anyone seeing me care. It's none of my business. It's not my problem. It's not my fault. Say it 3 times and you know that they definitely think the opposite. The sea. Oh, that's Foss already back. Okay. I didn't have any good jobs for you. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, so cross out the sea. Sorry. And there's the bits of shell. I love, again, just a little detail, like I love that Ventricosus knew to deliver Foss to Cinnabar. Obviously they know how deep their relationship goes, and maybe they were trying to, like, you know, get them together just to, you know, hopefully cause a bit of a spark. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to try harder, so forgive me. No. Haha, you're so strong. Ironically, even if they're weaker than Foss on the hardness scale. I knew you'd say that. End of chapter 10. That is such a depressing panel to end on. Cinnabar is still not facing Foss. I guess they can't, because they probably do feel guilty that Foss went all the way out there at so much risk for them. Oh, man. Alright, I think I'm going to stop it there, guys. Damn, those are some really good chapters. Alright guys, you know the drill. I'll just throw out a couple of top of the mind thoughts on these couple of chapters, and then I look forward to meeting you guys in the comments section to sort of get your thoughts and opinions as well. So these few chapters definitely delivered on the lore as expected. In terms of the additional information that we got from the manga as compared to the anime, it seemed like the skepticism of Ventricosus was really put forward a lot stronger, in terms of whether or not the origin story of the Admirabilis, the Gems, and the Lunarians that they've been told is reliable or not. And that skepticism really stood out to me. I think in the anime they kind of just told it straight, as if it was the truth, which, having now read the the manga makes me think that yes, there is definitely another side to the story, even from the Lunarian side, and that they aren't the straight up villains that they have so far been presenting as. Having said that, it is still really difficult to justify the methods that the Lunarians are using to achieve whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, particularly the extra detail around how they drug the Admirabilis or something, or at least turn them into mindless livestock. And for what purpose, we still don't know. And Ventricosus, interestingly enough, didn't really elaborate on that aspect. Possibly because they've been so traumatized that they just didn't want to talk about it, or more probably because that is a detail of what happens on the moon that we're going to find out on in later chapters. So I don't think there was anything else really that the manga covered that the anime didn't. The part where Sensei is telling Foss about why Cinnabar is doing the night patrol, even though it seems like such a thankless job, was surprisingly emotional even in this format. I feel for Cinnabar so much, and the dialogue did such a good job of just conveying the depths of Cinnabar's hope to live amongst the other gems and just enjoy the finer things in life. Like even just the feel of, their fingertips against a flower petal, for example, but not ever being able to do that because of the mercury that they excrete, and not of their own free will either. That to me is just heartbreaking, and I really wonder where Cinnabar's story is going to go. I'm really hoping that it turns out to be a story of triumph, particularly if they end up working alongside Foss, and that they're able to find a place for themselves where their intelligence and their ability to manipulate their element, their underlying compassion and desire for true living is able to flourish. Okay, that is it for this reading. Thank you so much for going through these chapters and really this journey with me. And I'm going to do my best to put out the next few chapters within the week. Until then, as always, take care. Happy New Year. And I don't know, go outside and maybe touch a flower or something. Just enjoy life. I will see you guys all soon.